Okay, so thanks for joining us this morning, this afternoon, or this evening, depending on where you are. I'm here with Mark Ireland, and he's our FME evangelist. Many of you probably follow his blog. And Aaron Koning, who is our FME server product manager. We also have some hidden guys in the back room who are here to answer all your questions. We have Dave Campanis and Dimitri Bog. Okay, so we're getting started. Today we're going to talk about how to prepare data for compelling displays in Google Earth.
And who are you?
Oh, who am I? Thank you, Mark. I'm Don Murray, and I'm a co-founder and XML lover. Okay. So, there's a picture of us. Look at that. Mark Ireland's wearing a tie, so he's setting the bar very high. And these are in the order of the presenter. So I'm just going to give a quick high-level overview. Then Mark and Aaron have put together some very impressive demos, and they're going to run through those. And today's question and answer. There you go. These guys are so secret, we're not even quite sure what they look like. So we've just basically put their names there. So if any of you have pictures of Dave Campanis or Dimitri Bog, please do let us know. Okay, so if you stay tuned for near the end, we're going to be having a draw here for 15 of you to win free seats for our upcoming desktop online training program. And Mark will.
I guess we take names and draw it later.
Oh, do we? Okay, yeah, okay,
I guess we don't draw 15 people live.
Yeah. Okay.
I could be wrong.
Yeah, well, we'll wait and find out, but I expect you're probably right. Okay. Okay, so we have a couple of poll questions here just to kick things off. Okay, so the first one is, have you used FME before? Okay, and so far, about 30% of you have said not yet. 26 of you, yes. Okay. Wow, it's a pretty even split, really.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, very even.
Okay, shall I close that?
Sure.
Okay.
There you go. And then you can share the results.
How do we share
Oh,
that?
right
Oh,
beside
there it
it.
is.
There
The
it is.
share
Yeah.
button
There you go. And there you go.
So 27%.
25. Yeah. Look at that.
28%.
Yeah. Over half of you have not used FME or used it for less than a year. Wow, very interesting. Yeah,
So
great. Well, thanks for joining us.
We'll make sure we take it from the very basics. And
Okay, so I think we have another poll now.
we do. Have you used FME? So if you've used FME before, have you used it with KML data, or is this entirely new to you?
Okay, most of you not yet. That's good. So, okay. Let it go a couple more seconds. People's votes are still coming in. Okay, so the vast majority of you, 60%, have not yet used FME to generate KML. So
Great.
good. So we can help you with that here.
And we have one final quick polling question before we get going.
Which application are you most interested in getting data into? Google Earth, Google Maps, both equally? Neither. I don't know why I'm here. So hopefully there's not too many who say neither. It reminds me of some university courses I was on. Okay, there's one.
There's always one.
Yeah, you're certainly welcome to stay. And maybe by the end you'll say, hey, I don't know why I came, but I'm glad I did.
Because I guess what we're doing here is we're talking about KML. We're not really talking necessarily about Google Earth. There's lots of uses you could use KML, I guess.
Yep. Good.
So,
Okay.
there you go. So,
we're good to go.
okay.
Okay, so now we will move on.
Okay.
In theory, if I hit this, look at that. Okay, a little bit about Safe Software. We're about 95, as you can see, exuberant employees. We have a lot of fun. We work hard. And we also have our secret headquarters, which is, we say Vancouver. So if you're roaming the streets of Vancouver, indeed, you're going to find that it's very hard to find our office because we're a little bit out of Vancouver. But anyway, that's why it's a secret HQ. Yes. That's right. And we pride ourselves in having thousands of happy customers, working hard to support them, and working on really solving hard problems. Okay, good. Okay, next slide. Okay, so what is FME about? A significant number of you have not used FME, so we're just going to spend about 5 minutes, not long, just to sort of give you an overview on what we do so you have some context when Mark and Aaron go through their fancy demos. Okay, so what we do is essentially we move data. So if you have, there's many data headaches out there. You have applications you want to use. The challenge, of course, is how do you get data into those applications in the best way so that you can maximize the value of that application. And that's what Aaron and Mark are going to show here. They got Google Earth. What they want to do is they want to maximize the use and the power of Google Earth. And so Google Earth does that through a format called KML. And so FME is being used to generate very flexible and powerful KML so that you're able to leverage the good stuff out of Google Earth.
So out of those, we'll be doing conversion, transformation, we'll be transforming data, integrating data sets, and then sharing them using KML. So KML is the way we share it. I guess FME is how we convert and transform that data.
Yep, yep. And you can see in the bubble diagram there, we do many different types of spatial data. So we're not touching on them all today, but if you want to learn more about those, we have webinars coming up and lots of information on our website about all those different types of data. This is an old slide, I can tell, because it doesn't have my favorite, XML.
I was going to run a contest on how many times we were going to mention XML in this
I think
webinar.
we're at 3 so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's good. It's not even an XML webinar, which is coming up, by the way.
Okay. So we just put this slide in for a quick intro about KML and what it's all about, just in case you're fairly new to this.
Yeah, so it's used by primarily it started up as the Google Earth format, but it's also useful for Google Maps, and more applications can consume and generate KML, and so it's very exciting to see things you can do. There's many KML feeds out there, and we're going to show you a lot about that.
That's right. And so Google Earth's got all of these different functions in there, but really what we're going to look at today is the bottom one in that list, which is your own data. How do you get your data into Google Earth?
Cool. Okay. So Mark Ireland, he's going to lead off today's demonstrations, and he's going to show us a number of things, basic data mashups with FME, creating tours, styling data, and creating KML time spans. Oh, I think he's ready to go because he just pushed me aside and said,
set up and
yeah, okay,
some interest.
Take it away, Mark.
Okay, thanks, Don. So so we've got these 4 basic demos I'm going to show, and then we'll let Aaron loose on some of the more advanced ones. So we're going to fire up, as soon as I can find the mouse, we will fire up FME Workbench. So this is FME Workbench. Workbench is a tool because a lot of you haven't used FME before. It's a tool for doing these data conversions and translations, and it's doing it in a graphic way, as you'll see. And if you have used FME before, what we're going to do at first is fairly basic, but we'll ramp it up pretty quickly today. Okay, so we're going to start out by defining the translation that we want to carry out. So in this case, I have to define where my data is coming from and what format it is. So I've got an Esri shape data set.
So what are you doing here again, Mark? I forget. I'm sorry.
I'm basically doing a translation from shape format into KML.
Oh,
so it's going to be a basic mashup of that data. Now, look what you're doing. You're making me look in the wrong folder. So we've got KML, and what we're going to look at is some public art. So we're looking at locations of public art within the City of Vancouver. And this is one of the City of Vancouver's open data sets that you can download. So today we're obviously writing to Google Earth, KML, and we're going to write it out to an output folder I have, and we'll just call it art.kml. So that's pretty much all we need to do to define the translation that we're going to be carrying out. So I click OK, FME creates this translation, and as you can see, it's a visual representation of a translation. I hit that little green run button, and again, we're just doing very basics here. Translation was successful, it says in the log window. So now I can flip to Google Earth and open up that data. And where are we? KML data, output, art.kml. And we should zoom into that data. And so there's the data, and I can click on something and it will query it. Untitled, which is not particularly useful. Thunderbird Mural. So remember, these are all art installations in the City of Vancouver. Okay, so what we've got there is it's fairly basic so far, but really we've only started to scratch at the surface of what FME can go to. So what it would be really nice to do would be to make that data look a little nicer. And what I'm going to do is put a transformer, we call it, within FME. And the transformer is basically a way of manipulating data and restructuring that data. And this transformer is called a KML styler, and it's basically setting KML symbology. So that's what we're going to do. And you can see I can set the color and all of those fill options, but because we're working with point features, I'm going to set a little icon to use. And I can set the icon scale. Now I'm going to connect the name of each artwork feature to the KML name. And what that's going to mean is that when we look at the data in Google Earth, rather than just getting a random ID, we'll actually get, like there it says KML 304, 108, etc. Rather than that, we'll actually get the name of the art piece. So I'm going to reload that data. There we go. Very, very quickly, we've got a much nicer icon, and you can see we've got the name of the feature itself rather than the ID number. So that's very quickly we can do that. Okay, so what else can we do? Well, with FME we can do way more than that. For example, we can start mashing up other data. We can bring in other data sets. So perhaps, for example, I want to find out the nearest transit station to each of these art installations. So what I'm going to do is add another reader to read some more data. Again, this is going to be shape data. This time it's going to be a set of transit stations. So we're going to add that into the workspace. And now we're going to say, well, how do we find the nearest station to each art installation? Well, we do that with another transformer. And we say a neighbor finder transformer. So the public art is the base, and it's trying to find candidates. It's trying to find the nearest candidate station. And I can click on this button and open up some parameters here. And I can say, well, find everything within 1,000 feet.
I really like how you have the descriptions on the left side there, Mark.
Yes, that's right.
That's not standard. You did that yourself. You changed the orientation of your...
Yes, you can move the windows around, and I quite like having that window on the left.
Yeah, so do I.
So it's always on the top. So we're going to connect up all the matches, and I think at that point we can just run that again. So again, we're running through this fairly quickly this morning, just to show you, give you the flavor of what we can do.
And so really, it looks like the power here is in the transformers. You know, that's really where you make interesting things happen.
That's right. Yes. So we can say, okay. So we can look at these and we can say, well, okay, well, I actually forgot to do one thing there, and what I forgot to do is I forgot to add the name of the station to the output. We need an output attribute to put the station in. Is it called station? Yes, it is. So there we go. I'll just run that quickly again. So I always make one mistake at least.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
yeah.
Okay, so
I make one mistake on a good day.
Okay, so now if we query one of these features, it should tell us the nearest station, which in this case is Waterfront.
Wow.
And we can click down here and say, well, where's the nearest station to that? Stadium Chinatown.
Okay. This is on Vancouver's subways, high-speed transit.
That's right. That's on the Vancouver TransLink setup.
Cool.
So one of the other things I can do is improve the information that goes into that bubble. But what I'm going to do there, just to save a bit of time, is open a workspace or translation I was working on yesterday. And it's not much more work than what we had already. It's just a couple of extra transformers in there. So what we're doing here is we're just setting up a URL, adding it into that bubble, and the URL is going to be a link to Google search, and it's going to search for images. So we're just going to run that quickly.
Okay. This is sort of like a cooking show. You know,
it is, yes.
Ingredients, put it in the oven, and
here's one I prepared earlier.
That's right.
That's what they say.
That's right.
Okay, so obviously I'm using a different icon there for some reason. But for example, we can click on that girl in a wetsuit. You'll see it's got the name, and it's got this URL now, and I can click on that, and it will take me to Google, for example, and bring up a bunch of images.
Well, I'm glad you had that moderate filter on there.
Yes. So yeah, there we go. There's a girl in a Canuck shirt, which is great. But that URL we added could be a link to anything. It could be a link to your internal
to your own photos.
Yes, or your own photos or wiki or something like that. So that's basically the first demo there finished. Basically doing a mashup, bringing in lots of data sets together, pulling that information together, and
and this is sort of like a mashup in a mashup, because you pulled multiple data sets together to produce a KML.
That's right.
But then on the fly, when you click, it's a mashup again, because you're going right at the point you click, you're going and doing a search. So
that's right. Yeah.
So that girl in the wetsuit information is just on the internet. If it's updated, hey, you see the latest and greatest.
Exactly. Yeah. So I quite like that ability to be able to pull a URL directly.
Yeah.
So the next demo I was going to do is going to be a canned one again. What we wanted to show here was how to create a tour in Google Earth.
A tour?
A tour.
Okay.
A tour, or how did you pronounce it?
I said tour.
Okay, I said tour.
Yeah.
I guess different.
Two in one, really.
Yeah, Canadian or British.
Yeah. Like potato.
Yeah. I still say tomato. I wouldn't say potato. Anyway, so what we're doing here is we're creating a tour in KML, and if you don't know what that's about, that's a way of defining a route within a KML file and sort of following it along within Google Earth directly. And so what we're starting out here with is a log. Somebody rode their bike. It was actually one of our people over in Europe, Ken Bragg. So this is a cycling tour he did within France, and we have a transformer called the KML Tour Builder, which specifically builds us a tour, and we can say, hey, how long do you want it to last? Do you want to see it from the first person or the third person perspective?
There's no second person.
There isn't. I don't know where they went.
Okay.
They must have
I've often wondered about that. But
you're off cycling, I suppose.
Yes. And the range, you can set what range you want. So we're zoomed out fairly high, seeing it in the third person. So I just ran that translation. Now I'm going to open that data set up. And tour, there it is. And it's going to zoom us all the way across to France. I hope you're seeing this as Google.
Now, are these workspaces are going to be made available for folks?
Yes, okay. We'll make sure they.
We're going pretty. I know we're going faster in the interest of time, but these are great starting points for folks.
So you can see the outline of the route, but what does a tour specifically buy us? Well, you can see this little option here. It's got a little camera next to it. I double-click on that, and basically it moves us into this movie mode. It might be a little bit jerky because we're streaming this live, obviously.
Pretty good.
Yeah, good. Yeah. And so we have that little toolbar at the bottom which can let you pause it, fast forward, and things like that. And so you could imagine doing, maybe you could look up your route from one location to another and then do a tour and get to see where you're going.
And you'd be able to control the elevation as well if you wanted and all
yeah.
that sort of stuff. Yeah. So it's sort of like a ground level, you could do that too.
Yeah.
So this is an area. This is like a chopper view.
That's right. Yes.
Or a helicopter. Yeah.
So this is like following the Tour de France in a helicopter.
That's right.
It's joking about it, but I think you needed to cycle a bit faster too.
Ken's a very slow cyclist for sure.
Collecting too many points, that's the problem. Okay, well that's just a quick demo I wanted to throw in there, just to show you, again, show you how a KML tour would work. Okay, swiftly on to the next demo. So what we've seen so far is how FME can convert spatial data from different formats to KML. We looked at some KML-related transformers just to show what we can do with those. Now what I want to do is take it one step further and actually sort of manipulate the content so we see a different representation of that data in Google Earth. So what I'm going to do here is create a new translation or a new workspace. This time I'm going from FFS format, which is just a standard FME internal format. I'm just doing that for convenience this morning. We're reading some data. It's a political mapping data, so it's information from a previous election out here in Canada, and we'll call the output political. Political.
Isn't politics one of those things you should never talk to in talk about mixed companies. So you're being a little bit on the edge here.
I am. Politics, and we don't have any religious data, but
yeah.
we'll just stick to a more contentious issue.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so here we've got the workspace again. We can look, and we can see we've got a whole bunch of different attributes on that data. So there's a different number for each area. There's the name of the party, the name of the candidate, the number of votes they got. Okay, so what I want to do is basically just look at the results for one candidate. So what I'm going to do is put a transformer in called the attribute filter. And the attribute filter is going to let me filter this information by the name of the candidate. So I'm going to open up this parameters and say let's filter by candidate name. I could type in the names, but FME rather nicely lets me import the names from the data set. So it's found 5 different people running that election. They're all listed there.
So I see Mark Ireland there.
No, that was a previous elections result. That was in that one. Okay, so we're filtering out the candidates there. I'm going to throw a KML styler in again. I'm going to connect that up to that person there.
So now that these are filtered like that, I could send each of those different records anywhere I want. I could write them to different tables.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You could write it all to different outputs.
Or
different
just
tables.
ignore the ones I don't really like. If
That's
there was
right.
a political candidate I didn't really want his
Yes.
votes counted, for example.
That's right. So we're going to let's pick a nice orange color for that person, and we can set the fill color. Don's having a chuckle there. I think that was a political statement.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. It just happens to be the right color for that political party.
It actually doesn't. But,
oh, okay. So yeah, there you go.
Okay, so what I did there, I set the styler, I set a color, I set the fill opacity and the outline of that. So now we're basically going to get polygons that are filled, excuse me, with that information on there. And you can see that it filtered the information because we've got 960 records coming in and 192 coming out. So we filtered out the people we weren't really interested in. So let's go back to Google Earth. We need to kill that window so we can open another data set. And there's the political file which is created. Wow.
Back over to Canada.
Oh man, that's
awesome.
That went over the poll. That was actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we'll zoom in and have a look at some of this data. Again, you can see we've got the polygons. They're filled in that color. They've got the slight transparency because we set 0.8 as the transparency value. And we can click on any one of these and we can see how many votes that person got within that particular area. Okay, so well, that's fairly basic stuff. What else could we do? Well, we could, for example, change that to see the circle instead of the outline of each area. So I'm going to add another transformer to do that. And what I can also say is, well, what's the size of that circle going to be? Well, we'll make the size of the circle relative to the number of votes that person got. And we'll do that for both axes. So let's see what that does.
Oh well, so you could make it. You could have different axes. If you had 2 things, you could make. Then you have.
That's right. Yes. So you could say have number of votes on one axis and the turnout on another axis if you really wanted. That would be.
That'd be interesting.
That'd be an interesting one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to reload the data. There we go. So now instead of having all the different areas, now we've got a little circle for each area where the size of the circle represents the number of votes.
Yeah.
So that person could see where they're popular, where they're not popular, all of that information. Yeah. And I like that. It's not quite as dense as before. You can add some other data on the top and it wouldn't overwhelm things.
Yeah, I like this one better too. It gives you much, uses the visual system better to convey the information.
Right. Yeah. So what else can I do? Well, I can actually start working in 3 dimensions. We can make a 3D feature. So let's see, because you can make 3D buildings. You can extrude buildings up and make 3D buildings. But we can also make data like this.
Okay, so if I had building footprints and heights, I could extrude them to just have little blocks.
Absolutely. So let's put a 3D forcer in there. We can say, okay, well, now this time the number of votes equals the height of that. And I'm going to throw in another KML transformer to set the properties, and we're going to say, okay, we're extruding this. is yes, and we're in absolute altitude mode. So click OK. We rerun that, and that is running. Flip back to Google Earth. We'll reload. And OK, so let's just adjust the view so we can see that a little better. Zooming around, pan away, and zoom in. So there you go. So now you can see, I hope, that you've got that three-dimensional data, so where the height of that feature actually represents that particular number this time.
Wow.
So we can do sort of thematic mapping, if you like, just by adjusting that data.
Yeah, and you'll notice how easy it is. What we've done for this webinar is to really keep the workspaces simple. You can just go crazy and do really fancy things, obviously by starting simple and building up. And some of our users have done some really amazing things by showing dams being built or showing hydro towers being built, things like that.
Yeah, and this one, for example, is an enhancement to that political one, so you can see how it gets a lot bigger. And with this one, you get all of these choices. Which poles do you want to see? Do you want to see them all? Do you want to see the boundaries or whatever? So you can do a lot. One quick thing I did want to show is if we look in the, let's have a look in the output folder, KML data, output folder. You can see the KML files in there. So this is just a bit of an aside I wanted to show. So one of the things you might want to do is say, well, how do I look at this data in Google Maps? Well, one of the things you could do is just open the data up. But for example, let's take that artwork. I'm going to copy that file, and I'm going to put it in Dropbox. A lot of people use Dropbox these days for sharing data.
Yeah, Dropbox.com. It's a great free tool.
Yeah. So, I just turned Dropbox off when I logged in because I thought, hey, let's not have things running I don't need to run. And of course, I do need to run it. But what you could do now is you could right-click. You could say, find the Dropbox link, get that link, go to Google Maps, and you can say, my places. I want to create a new map. I want to import some data, and you've got a space there you can enter a URL. So I could paste in that Dropbox URL in there, and it will open up the file. Or I could just browse for that file. But by putting it in the Dropbox, you're sharing it with other people. So that's really the nice thing about that.
Yeah. And also, if you update that file on your computer, Dropbox will automatically make sure that URL is updated on the web, so then you don't have to manually go through that. If you had a process running on your desktop every day, wrote to that Dropbox folder, automatically people with that URL would see it. So,
that's right. It would update automatically within their Google Maps. Yeah.
It's amazing. Well, I like that diversion there. That was good.
Good. Okay, so the one last thing I wanted to show very quickly was using Google Earth for timescales. And this one, again, is a pre-canned workspace. I didn't really have time to put this one together. Although it's not that large, it's a bit more complex than I can show. So what have we got in here? Well, what we've got is a whole bunch of different hurricane features. So I'm just going to look at that in the FME Universal Viewer, which is another application we have that lets you look at data in any different format. And so this is what we've got here. We've got a bunch of hurricane tracks for the year 2005. And a whole bunch of points. And we query one of these points, and it tells us where that was and what the hurricane was, etc. So let's run that workspace, and what are we going to get out of it? Well, what we're doing here is we're setting a time scale. So we're tagging each of the hurricane locations with a particular time, date, and location. So now I'm going to open up that hurricane data, and it's going to whip us over to the hurricane zone, the Gulf. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to fiddle with this display that we've got. Let's see. Let's try and find right in the middle of hurricane season. So about there. We're going to bring that up. Oops. Zoom in and hit play. So now what are we getting? Well, I hit the play button, and you might be able to see, I hope, that hurricanes are appearing on this map.
Oh, wow. So FME took a look at that hurricane information and produced this time scale.
Yes. So by having FME tag that information with the time scale, when you open it up in Google Earth, you sort of get a time frame running across the top.
And then you found some nice hurricane icon, and you... Well, very good.
And so the bigger the icon, the stronger the hurricane was at that point. So it might
Yeah,
be a tropical
yeah,
storm, it might
yeah.
be a hurricane.
Yeah.
And so we can see that, and any second now we'll see Hurricane Katrina just zip up and clobber New Orleans. Yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, we can. I'm sure we can do without reliving that all over again.
Yeah.
There we go. So, oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was just a very quick demo I wanted to show of using timescales in Google Earth. So I'm going to delete all of these contents now because it is time to get Aaron to the microphone, and he's going to show you some things. So I'm just going to delete all of those so we don't interfere, and flip back to PowerPoint, and there we go.
Over to Aaron.
It's Aaron's turn in the hot seat.
All right, thanks, Mark. Yeah, so now we're going to talk a bit more or expand on that and look at what you can do with larger data sets, raster data, vector data, and also what you can do with some real-time data in Google Earth. So the first thing I'm going to start off by showing you is if we have some ortho photos, some large ortho photos, how do we display those in Google Earth? If you load it all, what will happen is your Google Earth will completely slow down. So we want to be a little more intelligent about that, and we want to use something that Google calls a super overlay, which basically means it takes your ortho photo or your raster data and splits it up into a bunch of tiles. So here I'm starting with an ECW file, which is about 200 megs, well, a little less than that. So we're going to use FME to clip that and tile it up. But I'm going to show you the output first. So super overlay, let's see here, there we go. What does a super overlay look like in Google Earth? Well, we zoom in on it, and it shows up. This is not necessarily the best image. We could have cleaned it up a bit more. However, as you zoom in, what happens is new tiles will load, and I'm just showing you the network links over here. And so if I zoom into this area, you're going to display the next level of resolution below that.
Right. And you see them go, and we saw them go yellow just as they were being loaded and called from disks.
Absolutely, yeah.
And these are still local on your computer, of course.
Local on the computer, yeah, absolutely. And as you zoom in, you get more resolution. Zoom out, you get less resolution again.
So I guess that's the big difference between Google Earth and Google Maps. Google Earth, as it's an application running on your machine, you can access local data, whereas Google Maps is an internet application, so the data has to be accessible through a URL.
Absolutely, very good point, yeah. So how do we create this? How do we take our imagery? Well, let's see how hard it is. Let's create a workspace from scratch. Let's go in here, Workbench. And so we go up to File, New, and we're going to generate a workspace going from that ECW file to KML. So here we go, ECW. Select that file. Like so. Got the file now, and going out to KML. And I'm just going to put that wherever. I'm going to even put it in here. And I'm going to put it in a folder. Let's create a folder here called Output. Output, okay. In there, just like so. Okay. So it generates a workspace. And by default, what this workspace would do is it would basically just write out a KML file with the entire ECW attached. So we have to do something fancy now to make this happen. Is we need to go into the options here.
So why can't I just do that? Why aren't I done? Like, what if I just said, there you go, what would happen?
What would happen is it would try and load the full volume of that data into Google Earth in one shot. And basically Google Earth would freeze, and then you're, well, then you're done. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So what we're going to do by setting this option, this single option right here, Generate Super Overlays, to yes, is it's going to figure out that it needs to tile that data intelligently, just like we saw in Google Earth.
Okay.
And then we can hit Run, and that's all you need to do, and now it's going to go out and tile that data.
Oh, wow.
Now this takes a little bit of time in the tens of minute range, so you want to do this, schedule this over.
So is this generating a pyramid?
A pyramid, absolutely.
Okay, so it's not just tiling the lower levels, it's actually generating.
Absolutely,
oh, wow. Okay.
Absolutely, very good point, yeah. But it takes a while, so I'm just going to stop it, and I'll show you.
I'm really glad I came. I'm learning a few things.
Are you? Okay, good.
Is that a network link it uses to?
Absolutely, that's right, yeah. And the way the network links, the way the output works is you have all these KML files, which are the network links, and they link to little images in here.
How big is each image now?
They're about 200 kilobytes,
Okay.
around that size. These are TIFFs. I think you can also pick between TIFFs and PNG.
Okay.
Anyways, very simple process to get your data, your ortho data in there, into Google Earth. Now, what if you want to get your ortho imagery into Google Maps? Slightly different process. However,
okay,
it's possible. So I'm going to start by showing you sort of the result, the end result of pyramiding and tiling your data for Google Maps. So here we've got an ortho photo. It's a smaller area, but the same thing. As I zoom in, it loads the tiles that I've generated with FME.
Yeah.
Keep zooming in, I get more resolution. Zoom out, and I get different resolution again.
Yeah.
So if I view the source of that page, just to show you how this hooks in, there's a URL. This is all the code you need to add the tiles into Google Maps.
And we're going to make this available too.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. The one thing I want to point out is that in order to load these, you have to output the correct file name, so zoom level, row, and column, and we'll do that in FME.
Okay.
All right.
So now going back to the Dropbox thing, if I had a job that ran that sprayed my tiles into Dropbox and then I pointed to that URL here, I would be able to
Absolutely. Auto update those tiles. Yeah. Very good point.
Could you use Amazon instead of Dropbox? Does that?
I think if it has, as long as it has a URL, yeah, absolutely, sure, yeah, as long as it has a
Yeah.
URL, yeah,
Okay.
cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do we generate this workspace? Again, I'm going to pull up a workbench again, and we're going to go through that. So what we start with is, again, we're going to go File, New, Generate, Workspace. We're going to start with our ECW again. And we're going to go out, this time, since we're generating PNG images, we're going to go to PNG. And in here, again, I'll use this output folder. And I can call this whatever I want, hello, for fun, just to be creative. I click OK, and by default what this will do is it basically just convert the ECW to PNG. But what we want is to tile this image for Google Maps. So in there we need to add in a web map tiler. Web map tiler transformer. We add that in, like so. And inside this transformer, I'll bring those options back up, I can pick the zoom levels I want. So that the minimum zoom level of 1 would be the entire world, completely zoomed out.
Okay.
23 is completely zoomed in.
Okay.
Generating down to 23 is pretty detailed, so maybe you only want to go to 10. It's up to you. You get to pick.
Okay, the more zoom levels, the more time.
The more zoom levels, the more time, absolutely.
This is also generating a pyramid.
Another pyramid, absolutely, yeah. One thing before I do the web map tile is my data didn't come in a spherical Mercator format or a coordinate system. So I need to do a reprojector to get the data into the right coordinate system. So basically I come in here, read from feature, and I pick the spherical Mercator
Right, you have to get it in the right coordinate system before you tile. If you try to do it after tile, you're in big trouble.
In fact, it will warn you, get a nice little warning in the log file saying you've got to reproject this.
Oh.
There you go. And then the last thing when you're doing web map tiling is you need to set up that name. Remember I showed you the X, Y. If I can come back to that.
Now that's just your convention, right? Or
it is my convention, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, this convention right here, Zoom.
And Google Maps, is this going to look for those in the tile name to know what values to put in?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I'll show you those tile names in a second. But the way to generate those is to use maybe a string concatenator.
Yeah.
Come into there, and what can we do here? We can take the zoom level. We can add an underscore. Add that in. We can also add in the row. Another underscore, column. We can call this tile name, for example,
I see.
like so. And then the last thing is just to tell the PNG files to use that name, basically. So that's what I do in the feature type properties here. Tile name. Then I can hit run, and that'll go off. And again, this takes a bit of time to process.
Okay, tens of minutes.
Tens of minutes again.
Okay.
Good scheduled task on FME server, for example. And then if we come back and look at that, at those tiles, what we see are, well, a bunch of little tiles, PNG tiles, starting with the zoom level, the row, and the column. So that's how you can get your data available either in Google Earth or Google Maps, raster data. So one question I have is, what about if it's vector data, or what about if I want to go direct to the database because the freshness is important to me, up to date?
Yeah, what about that?
What about it? Well, we can do it. That's the main point.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up and we can do it.
It would have been bad if we couldn't
Yes,
do that.
exactly.
Yeah, okay. So that's easy enough. I'm just going to show a demo of that one. So let me get to my KML data folder.
While you're looking at that, one question that came up was, can we stitch rasters together? And yes, we can do that just as easily as tiling them if that's what's required. But generally, I don't think you'd stitch them together for Google Earth because you'd just be putting too much stress on the on it.
That's right. You might want to mosaic them together and then tile it up.
Yes, you have to do that.
So what I've got here is actually a number of network links which are again tiled, and as I zoom into one of them, what will happen is it will make a request just for that area that goes all the way back to my database, pulls just that information up. Of course, now I'm hitting FME server, so it's asking me, well, what are the connection information?
Sure.
Yeah, it's secure.
Okay, so even if so still you can share the link, and then only authenticated users can see data if the security is an issue for you.
If it's an issue, otherwise you can turn it
and
off.
I could change it. I hate those KML network link things. Am I able to change those?
Absolutely.
Okay.
These are just super default options here.
Perfect.
And what we're reviewing again is the attributes and the data straight out of the database. If I scroll enough, it will go and it will actually request the data for this area.
Well, so let me make sure I understand what's going on here.
Yeah.
So Google Earth is sending the ground coordinates to you in a workspace somehow, and then you're using those coordinates to pull just that data out of the database?
Absolutely.
Okay.
If I view and further to that point, if I view the properties of that network link, what's actually done here is we have a URL. This URL is a URL to a service offered by FME server.
Yeah.
And Google Earth is intelligent enough yet to send those coordinates of that view. So then we just bring that data and view it here.
Perfect.
Because this entire data set is, again, hundreds of megs.
Yeah, you
fill it up.
Yeah, yeah.
So
and
instead,
you want live.
I want the live data, the live view. Again, I scroll over, and it brings in the data.
Yeah.
So a couple of people asked that question, where we're doing the difference between desktop and server here. And with desktop, I think you can still tile the data, you can still update in Google Earth. I mean, there's all that.
Yeah.
But if you want to serve it live,
for vector data, that's very sort of a hybrid as well, a little bit hybrid approach using Dropbox.
Yeah.
Now it wouldn't work for this, but for the raster case, if you had a job that ran every night, just a Dropbox.
Yeah, it all depends on your needs, whether you need to get the fresh data right away or maybe one day a lapse is okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is just an overview of some larger data sets. Now I want to move on to some real-time data. And I think Don's going to like this one quite a bit, actually.
Well, I've liked them all so far.
Well, that's a good...
So that puts pressure on you.
Okay. Don't drop the ball now.
Yeah.
What do we have here, Don?
Oh, this is beautiful. This is XML.
It absolutely is. This information is from San Francisco, and it's actually the bus locations in San Francisco. And as I hit refresh, you'll see that some of the locations will change once in a while.
I think the mayor of, you said San Francisco?
It is.
I think the mayor of San Francisco should get an I Love XML T-shirt for publishing this.
I think we can make that happen.
Yeah.
A couple of things to note about this is we have the speed in here, and sometimes it's set to 0.
Yeah.
So maybe I want to take this and not have just an XML view, but in a KML view. Sure. I can do that in FME. So
I might want that. I'm happy with this.
You're happy with XML? Yeah. Well, that's to each their own.
You don't need a map, do you, Don? You can just look at the XML.
And I'm happy.
Yeah, you can visualize it in your mind like a matrix.
Like the matrix, exactly. Okay, so I'm going to pull up Workbench here. Oh, here it comes.
It's all XML these days.
It is.
KML itself, if you open one, is actually XML.
That is true, actually. Yes, that is. So really, this is an XML webinar.
Yes.
All right. So let's take that XML. I hear it's really hard to work with XML. Is that true, Don?
No, it's easy.
Is it?
It's easy.
Okay.
Yeah, if you have any XML data or KML data and you want us to, take a look at it, just send it our way. We're happy to.
Let me grab that URL. Yeah, so I can grab it live from the website there. Come in here, and what I want to do is take the attributes and the elements and flatten them down. So I'm going to use an option called Feature Paths with Attributes Flattened, and it says, well, what element do you want to become the feature? If I look back at that source data, well, I want each one of these vehicle elements to become a feature,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
So here I'm just going to enter vehicle, I get that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
It'd be easier if they just put bus.
It would be.
It would have been,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Then we have so we're going out to Google Earth KML, and what I'm going to do is come over here and let's see, put it somewhere anywhere is fine, I guess. Output. Very creative names today, output.kml. Click OK. And so right away, what does this do? Well, it simply converts in one shot the XML to KML. But starting out, maybe I want to make it look a little nicer. So the first thing I need to do, since it's not spatial at this point, is take the lat and the long value, and turn that into spatial data. So I'm going to use a 2D point adder over here, bring in some data. The attributes, set to an attribute value. I always get this wrong, and this is what is it again there, Don? It's lawn.
Yeah,
okay, thank you.
Flat lawn.
Yeah, if you go the other way, it views very strangely.
And one time I was doing a presentation, and two people in the audience got into a heated discussion about whether lat was X or Y, and anyway, that wasn't the point I was trying to make, so now I just rename them whenever I do demos, things like that.
And one thing about FME is it doesn't know what that coordinate system coming in is, so to go to KML, it wants to ensure it's lat long, so I use a coordinate
because
system
the source
setter.
data set did not tell us, correct?
That's right. XML doesn't always, it's not always self-describing.
Yes, it was, but that's not a fault of XML, we should be clear.
No, XML is amazing. And then we want to maybe show the values a little bit different, so we want to style them, but if they're stopped, we want them to show with green, or with red, I should say. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in here to this tester transformer, and we're going to say if the speed, where are we, speed is greater, let's see if I can do this here, greater than 0.0, then it's moving. So then we want to style it like so, KML styler, like so. Come in here, we're going to make it green perhaps.
Green for go.
Green for go.
Yeah.
And then we're also going to have another styler. I'll just copy it and paste it below, which will be basically if they're stopped.
So it's going to be red, I'm guessing.
Very good, very good. Maybe even an octagon. Okay.
Like a stop sign.
Like a stop sign.
Wow, I'm impressed.
And then Mark set the name of this output using a direct connection there, but there is a transformer you can use, KML property setter, which will actually allow us to give the name to those icons. So in the name, I'm going to set that to, well, the vehicle ID. Click OK, and then I can run this and everything. But what I want to do, I'll go ahead and run it, but what I want to do is get this onto FME server so that I can keep asking for this data over and over again.
So when you run this, it's actually pulling the live data across the web. So even on the desktop, you're not restricted to working with flat files or databases that are local. You can still consume internet resources.
Absolutely. And so, but to be able to have this transformation happen every couple seconds or something like that, I need to get it into somewhere where that can happen. So I'm going to publish it to an FME server, and I'm going to use localhost and admin.
That's a great machine, localhost.
Localhost is good. Publish it up there, and I give it a name, hello, because I'm really creative.
Wow.
And then I'm actually going to do a bait and switch and then use a different demo to show you the end result. Publish it up there, and I want to register it with the KML Network Link service. That's what I'm going to use. So it's up on FME server. Now I'm actually going to go and I'm going to show you the output of that.
Just flip to the, I've already got server open.
You got a server open? Very good. Mark is prepared. Very good, very good. I'm actually going to go to a different URL. That's fine.
Okay.
Just to be clever.
Yes. Time.
Yes, we're getting close to time, so if you can type a bit faster, that would be
I'm trying to jump it up there. Okay, so here we've got the buses. I'm going to hit run on this KML Network link. It's going to prompt me. That's going to open up in Google Earth. And let's jump to the top. Double click this network link.
Over to San Francisco.
Over to San Francisco. It zooms in, and it gives me green and red, and this thing refreshes every couple seconds.
So this is what's happening in San Francisco right now.
Right now, this is what's happening. Now, just the last demo, what if I wanted to actually show the orientation of these?
Sure.
Because that's an XML, one of the XML elements or attributes.
Yeah.
You can see that right, well, I won't bother showing it.
But you'd add another transformer, change the icon to basically point in the right direction kind of thing?
Exactly, exactly. And then what you would get is something that looked more like that.
Wow.
Where it would actually show which way you're going.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, how are we doing on time, Mark?
Do you need to be wrapping up?
Wrapping up?
2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
About 2 minutes ago.
Yes.
Well, I will wrap it up then, I think, or should I show one more?
I think we're
good.
What were you going to show?
I was going to show the street intersection.
Okay.
Well, let's show it.
Sure. Yeah, it takes 1 minute, right?
It's better to be showing demos than
Yeah.
than talking.
I think so.
That's right, yeah.
And I'm going to show, basically, this is how you can load bigger data volumes.
This is FMEpedia, so it's
Absolutely.
here.
We have some privacy concerns, apparently, but that's fine.
Okay, yeah.
No, that's just me being paranoid on my computer.
Okay, well, better safe than
Mark
sorry.
has that for, it has FMEpedia flag.
Warning you
No, I
go
have
here.
everything flagged. I trust nobody.
So there's a demo on here that allows you to load in some bigger data sets. Let's run it live. And what it does, just to be clear, is it actually loads all the data in there and then only asks for a refresh of that data. So let's zoom over here. Zoom in. Now, as things change, the information gets updated. So this is almost like a dashboard where you can see the current things that are happening.
Okay, so this is all the intersections in some city?
Yeah, Interopolis,
Okay.
Austin, Texas.
Okay, and only when data's changed is it sent?
Only in data's changed, yeah.
Okay.
So it doesn't ask for the entire data set every time. That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I got to wrap up now, folks,
Yeah.
but I'm going to hand it back over to Mark at this point.
Okay.
Great. Well, we'll just flip it back to the PowerPoint and we'll wrap things up.
Yeah.
Find the PowerPoint.
Okay, so there we go.
There you go.
So what we've seen today, we just did a really quick survey of some of the things you can do with FME with Google Apps, Google Earth in particular, and then we touched a little bit on how you can also use this in Google Maps. With we also showed how you can quickly and easily share things right from your desktop using something like Dropbox.
And Aaron ended up showing some things with FME Server as well.
That's
so
right.
Streaming came
Yeah,
out
yeah,
into Server.
taking it to the next level, making it live.
Yeah. So,
Okay, it was today's webinar, of course, was recorded, and there you can see the fancy 8-track tapes out there in case you don't know what those are, and so you can share these and watch these anytime.
and
So
we'll make the data available.
that's right. Okay, so to get acquainted, of course, if you want to try any of this stuff, there's a free trial of FME Desktop. We can also give you personalized web demos of anything that you're interested in.
Absolutely. And we've got upcoming webinars as well, like this one. We have one for XML.
Yep.
And,
Yep.
there must be other ones coming up.
Yeah, if you go to our front page on our website, you can easily find all the upcoming webinars. Yeah.
And we have training as well, which is either online or in person. So
Yeah.
we do online training. You get an Amazon EC2 machine.
Yeah, yeah, and it's set up, licensed, and ready to go. And then we leave it around for you to play with for a couple weeks after the training class, and just to help you get going. And for sure, we pride ourselves on our support. And so if you're learning FME or you're a current user, please do contact us, and contact us more rather than less.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we've got a few more quick poll questions just to wrap up before we get to the don't forget the draw. We have the winner seat in training. So having seen some of the things we've shown today, which ones perhaps you're most interested in, and this will help us figure out what we should be concentrating some of our resources on.
Yeah. So vote now and vote often. And okay, so we're seeing a lot of interest in the data styling and basic mashups. Data styling it looks like a 2-to-1 leader over the next competitor.
Well, let's close that.
Okay, not a lot of interest in Google Earth Tours. No.
Okay, people are still voting. So
Yeah.
I'm
So there we go.
Okay, I'm just going to close now. 'Ause
Okay, and we'll show the
we've got
results.
time constraints.
Share the results there. And no, that's good.
Yeah, a lot of data styling.
Yeah. And
So a lot of things that everyone's interested in quite a lot of them. So
yeah,
that's,
that's good.
and then we've got the advanced things that Aaron was showing. So was any of these items that anyone's interested in.
Yeah.
And we'll keep all the numbers for these questions, and we'll basically use that to
Live data feeds.
Yes. Ooh,
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. So do I.
I got to admit, I like that San Francisco bus.
Yeah.
Bus feed.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
wonderful to
Yeah.
play with.
Yeah. And it's exciting because more and more data like that is becoming available. And so the real challenge then is how to make it easy for users to be able to use that. Not just to view it, but now you could start to tie that information into your other workflows. Maybe you have employees who want to try to take transit. You could start to help them by having where your office is and things. Yep.
Yeah, cool. Okay, let's hide that. Any other Google technologies you're interested in? Because we do have a bunch of other.
We have to Google Docs spreadsheets right now with FME.
Yeah. And with FME 2012, there is support for Google Fusion tables coming.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah.
We already have a reader.
Yeah. And Google Earth Builder. Many of you are interested in that. That's new Google technology that we're following very, very closely. So.
And I have no idea what Big Table is, to be honest.
That's yeah. Everything. So anyway,
okay.
Yeah, just a big. It's just it's a NoSQL database, is what it is.
Oh, okay. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So great. So we'll use these numbers to refine what we show in the future. And the other thing is, if you've got any Google or KML data or data you want to get into KML, then and always send us an email to support@safe.com, and we'll try and help you out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good. So is that it for the polls?
Well, we've got the final one.
Okay, sorry, I'm getting excited.
Sorry, I forgot to hide that one. We have the final enter to win. So I think if you enter this poll, we pick 25 people at random. Is it 25 or 15?
Let's go with 25.
Okay.
I think it was only 15, but hey, that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm going to be in trouble with marketing then. So.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay.
So if you enter this, we'll pick some people at random.
It'll mostly be the trainers. I don't, marketing's good. It's going to be the trainer who's going to be the most unhappy with you, just so you know who's going to be unhappy with you. So if you're,
I mean, we'll do this online, so I mean.
Yeah, that's right. It's not, yeah. Just means spinning up another 10 Amazon machines. Yeah. Okay, good.
We like to get the training out there. So.
Well, excellent.
Okay. Well,
that's great.
Well, thank you for everyone voting in that one, and
that's
we'll
good
pick
to see. That's great. Yeah.
Everyone voting. I don't want to.
We don't want to cut anybody off from a free chance to win.
Okay.
So it looks pretty stable. We just squeaked in another couple, so there we go.
I think that's the. There we go. We have closed it.
And share.
Yeah, we didn't. I guess we didn't need to share that, but we did.
Look at that. 88% want training and 12%.
And I think that was the basic desktop training. So,
that's right.
Right. So.
And 12% may have already had it.
Oh, actually, was that the win, or have I got totally the wrong poll there? Ha! See, I had the wrong poll there. That would be, would you interest?
Well, there you go. Well, that's okay.
Okay. Well,
we're talking about one thing, showing another.
Well, so shall we even launch the win?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. So here's another one. Okay. Would you like to win a seat? Sorry, we had an extra poll in there that I wasn't even looking at. So.
That's okay. That's okay.
Sorry.
That's how people know it's live and not recorded.
Yeah.
So yeah. So there we go.
Okay. So if you. Okay. So we'll.
We had a question. How can I order the 8-track tape in the chat here?
Yes, we'll have our top people working on it. Yeah, we need to find an 8-track tape recorder. Yeah. Okay.
We haven't released it for me on an 8-track.
No, we haven't. No. Okay. So there you go.
We'll do that.
Yeah. Could you please send us the model number of the 8-track player that you have?
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually thought that was an iPad that you showed.
Okay.
Yeah. So share that one. Sure.
Oh, sorry. Share that one.
Yeah. Share the results. So 70% basically have entered the draw. The other 31% either have had the course or don't need the free one. Okay. There you go. So questions?
Questions. Was there any questions that we got? Because we're hitting 9 o'clock now, so we should be wrapping up pretty quick.
Yeah.
So we did talk about a couple of questions as we were going along.
Yeah.
And
we'll answer 2 more.
So did you have any good questions there, Dave, that you'd like to share with us?
Just the one about the bell bottoms. I mean, sorry about the 8-track tape.
Okay.
Okay, we're getting confused there.
Okay.
We got a comment from a DOT in the U.S. indicating that the ortho photos, they would like to load them into KML. So more of a statement that they think
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
something
yeah, yeah.
to start working with.
Yep. So a lot of comments about wanting to learn more about the live feeds. So yeah.
And one question: what about laser data in Google Earth? Sorry, I think this alludes to LiDAR.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. LiDAR data is you probably saw that. You might remember that original bubble diagram. Absolutely, we can read and write LiDAR data. So again, the approach would be to tile it in some way because LiDAR data, point cloud data sets, of course, are massive. So yeah, so definitely we can help you with that.
Can you use file geodatabase?
Absolutely. It's one of the data sources we support in FME. We do about almost 300 different data sources and data destinations.
And in FME 2012, we have the new open.
That's right. We also use the
geodatabase.
new open file geodatabase in 2012. Yeah.
Yeah, and so one question: how did I do the arrows in the San Francisco bus?
Yes. How did you?
Yeah, basically there was a heading in the XML that said which way they were oriented, and then I just used an icon and rotated it based on the heading, so
Okay.
it pointed in the right
Okay. So
direction.
you could rotate the icon to the right.
Yes,
way.
there is a
Okay.
rotation.
Okay, so let's move on. Please continue to send your questions. Even if you think of one after this webinar, support@safe.com is a great place to do that, and we'll get back and answer all the questions.
And one of the other questions was about coordinate systems as well, and KML doesn't have to be in that long. I guess it's WGS84 datum.
Right, they have their own spheroid projection.
Right, yes. So it does have to be that. But
Yeah,
FME does, as we saw, does do coordinate system reprojection.
That's right.
Just about
That's
any
right.
coordinate system.
That's right. And if you write to KML and it's in the wrong coordinate system, the KML writer will automatically put it into the correct one. So we, what we try to do is to make it really easy for you. So if you have a data set, as long as it knows its coordinate system, we will audit. The KML writer will not write data in the wrong coordinate system.
Yeah. So all that's covered in FME. It's,
Yeah.
We do that.
Okay.
Okay. Well, that was.
And let's see what we have next.
Yeah.
Following up on all the questions, so keep them coming in, even if you you start playing with this stuff and then you have a question. We're always happy to hear from you.
Send us your challenges.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
And,
And then I think we're on the final slide. So if you want to contact us, how can they do that?
yeah, there's 2 email addresses there or 2 telephone numbers, which are incredibly similar. So just dial 2 and then a 78 in any order, and you'll get somebody who immediately can help you.
Yes. So obviously sales is for pricing, licensing, that sort
Yeah,
of thing.
and if you have a technical question for sales, what they'll do is they'll find a support person for you. So we won't just tell you a wrong number.
But if you're sending data in, obviously it's easier to
Just go straight
email
to
us.
support. Absolutely, absolutely. Yep. Good.
Well, I think then that's pretty much done for the day.
Yeah. So thank you so much for your time. We know you're all busy, and we really appreciate you dialing in with us here this morning. And hopefully you found this useful. And we're here to help you. So if you have any KML challenges or getting data into KML with anything that you've seen here, we went quickly over a lot of things. We would very much welcome the opportunity to help you. So, yeah, that's it for me. How about you, Mark? Any closing words?
No, none at all.
You're pretty happy?
Just thank you.
Yeah,
And
good.
yeah, any issues, just get in touch.
Perfect. How about you, Aaron?
This is very good. Fun hour. We got some comments. It's very energetic. So
Yeah.
thanks. Yeah.
Good. Okay, so there you go. Thank you so much, and keep in touch.
Okay.